Hi, I'm Andy Schatz, and I'm going to walk you guys through the entire single player campaign with tips and tricks along the way. So let's start with a new game. We're going to skip the video, but the point is Belafide is rising up against the civilized. Here we are. I'm using a controller. If you want to look up the keyboard hints, you can always hit F1, and it'll bring you to this screen. And you can come here to the keyboard controls. Generally, they'll all be explained through gameplay. R2 rallies your army, or that's a right mouse button. I can hold the mouse button in order to focus fire individual enemies, or I can click and release it. So if I want to run away, I can hold the mouse button. If I want them to attack or defend themselves, I need to release it, or I can come up here, and if I hold the mouse button next to this toad, they will focus fire that particular toad. Of course, this stuff gets explained in the next little section, as you'll see. These are warrens. These produce units automatically. For now, in this mission, they're not going to cost any food, but in the future, they will individually cost food. So let's move forward. We're going to use our ferrets to take out, I call them ferrets, they're also known as the freight union, but quite often I'll use the species name in order to describe them. In game world, they don't like to refer to each other by their species name. It is their version of racist to define people or refer to people based on their species. Now what I did here was I pulled my army back by holding the trigger to pull them back behind these turrets, and then the turrets will wipe out those falcons. Alright, now this is the focus fire tutorial. So in order to pass this one, this turret won't die until I actively focus fire it, so I need to walk up next to it and hold the trigger. And this will force all of my units to come and attack that structure. Focus fire... There's if you've played RTS before, you've probably heard the terms attack move versus attack. These three are all used in Tooth and Tail, and it's all based on the context of how you pull the trigger. If you click and release the trigger, it's an attack move command. What that means is they will stop to fight anything that they see along the way. It'll cause them to spread their fire out a little bit more, and it's generally the default for what you want to do. You might want to do, quite often you'll want to do a lot of clicking in order to tell them to move to your location, but also fight anything that they see. Less frequently, you'll want to hold the trigger in order to get them to ignore enemies and run away. Or in some cases, you might want them to focus on particular enemies, such as these pigeons. So I can focus on the pigeons first, and then focus on trying to take out that skunk. And I want to move my units out of that skunk gas. So I hold the trigger there in order to move them out of that skunk gas. So now I'm clicking. I want to get that toad before the toad explodes. Oh, I don't want him to be standing in the middle of that skunk gas. So I'll pull him over here. But maybe I want to get him to attack that skunk. So they will generally still attack the thing that is closest to what you click. But if they're not in range of the thing that you're clicking on, they won't attack it. So generally it's a little more, this first mission you don't need to know all those things in order to progress. There you go.